Okay, confusing topic. A calorie deficit does not guarantee fat loss. A calorie is a unit of energy, so a calorie deficit is an energy deficit, not a fat deficit. Let's explain what this means in more detail. So here we have a diet here, we've got a wiggly line here, that's your fat, the fat floats on top of the carbs, and we got our little protein here that have sunk to the bottom, and we've created this deficit, this calorie deficit here. So we think, yep, it should supply by body fat, but it depends what we're doing at this end of our metabolism, which is our total daily energy expenditure. What are the needs for the body? So we've got our RMR. There's a certain amount of glucose need for your RMR for your brain, which can come from here from inside the bucket to feed your RMR, and it can also come from your glycogen stores to feed some of your RMR. The biggest sort of glucose hog in the body. And remember, we store 3,500 calories in 1 pound of fat. So if you have 10 pounds of fat, that is gazillions of calories of fat to lose. But we store 2,000 calories maximum in our glycogen stores. So our biggest hog here is activity. So we've got activity is traditionally broken down into exercise and NEAT. NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which just means fidgeting and moving, where exercise is when you choose to go to spin class. I like to break down activity into high intensity activity and low intensity activity. And obviously that's a big range. So going for a really slow walk would be low, a medium walk will be still low, but it would be more intense, into like a full-on sprint would be high. Anything here, so your kind of carbohydrate need goes up from low to high. This is your carbohydrate need going up. So if you do loads and loads of high intensity exercise, if you do an hour spin class, you're using nearly 80 to 100% glucose. So your glucose needs are huge. So if you don't have any glucose because you're on a low carbohydrate diet and you don't have any glucose in your glycogen stores, then you're gonna have to burn protein as glucose. And if you don't eat enough protein, you're gonna have to use lean body mass to fuel your high intensity activity. So you're never gonna be putting on muscle mass. You're gonna be lowering this part of your metabolism that's the big energy hog. So your lean body mass is a big energy hog. Big energy hog is good because it means you're dissipating energy and you're getting a bigger bucket to play with. So if you're eating a low carbohydrate diet, your body and your glycogen stores are low and you're doing loads of high intensity activity, you are burning through your glycogen stores and you have no choice than to burn through your dietary protein. And when you burn through that, you have no choice but to burn your lean body mass. And your calorie deficit hasn't really come from fat. It's mostly come from burning down your lean body mass to supply this need that you haven't met. So something would be better is to do a lot more zone 2 exercise to build this fat burning capacity. And the way I talk about zone 2 exercise, if you imagine you had a fuel leak, the smaller the hole, the less fuel that will come out. But we want to create a massive fuel leak because we're not a car. We want to make a massive fuel leak in our body fat stores. So the way to do that is to become better at zone 2, and that makes a bigger hole for this body fat to spill out. And you can start using fat at higher and higher intensities, but not at high intensity. So hope that makes sense for you guys. So you need to eat adequate amount of protein, you need to eat an adequate amount of carbohydrates, and you need to do the right exercise to match what the actual macronutrients are coming in to create this calorie deficit, to have as much of that calorie deficit coming from body fat as you possibly can. 50% isn't good enough, 80% plus would be better. Minimal muscle loss would be ideal. Keep your protein nice and high, keep your carbohydrates moderate to need, and do a lot more low intensity activity, and keep your high intensity short and sweet, and also keep those high intensity sessions fueled with carbohydrates coming into the system, either stored from the night before so you know you got them in your glycogen, or eat some simple carbohydrates before, during your workout. Hope that makes sense. Check you guys in the next one.